amazing.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you for being here. Shabbat Shalom to everyone at home. Rabbi Lobel is on vacation. After he got back from recovering from COVID from Israel, he had a vacation planned with his family, and he will be back next Shabbat. And we're going to turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem.
Thank you, and look, I'm going to be singing from my iPad. I heard people weren't seeing my as my mother would say, my beautiful face. So we're going to try it this week with that. Thank you. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei l'shalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bafuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 128 for Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Yavarachamai, Yedid Nefesh Yavarachamai, Meshach Avdecha, El Sonecha, Mishach Avdecha, Ya la 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 el Ritzonecha, Yarutz Avdecha, Imo Elyon, Yishtachave layla, Ya la 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 el muadrecha.
That was beautiful. At this time, I would like to call up Ellen Block and Gary Ford for candle blessing and Kiddush.
And that's on page 120.
120. Do the first reading first.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all behold them, so we may, by our lives, give light to all behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Should Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Please turn to 122 for the Kiddush.
Vahi Arev, Vahi Voker Yom Hashishi. The heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron lima'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikrahe kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikohamim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
You may be seated. Please turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi.
And we're doing a little slower version of Lecha Dodi, so we're going to be doing verses 1, 5, and 9. La 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor b'diburecha, Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shemu tiferet v'litila. Ya Elai, ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Hidorari, Ki va'oret, Kumi כבוד אדוני עלייך מילה, יאי לי לי, יא לה 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 לך דודי, לה 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 לקראת כלה, לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה. Now we stand, we turn to the door to welcome our Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום, עטרת בלה, גד בשמחה וצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לי לי לי, לה 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 לך דודי, לה 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 לקראת כלה, לה 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 בני שבת, בני שבת נקבלה. They call that version the Phantom of the Opera version. I think you can hear that in there.
Page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, ya la lai lai la lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai la lai lai la lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai la lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam.
Please turn to page 148 and you may be seated. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 151. Wisdom and wonder, let's read responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. Together, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives its form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please turn to page 152 for the Shema. Please rise.
That's all right. We'll do Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. V'ahavta on page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Before we go on, I just wanted to say a few things because I know I've seen people confused about when we stand, when we, that sort of thing. And I wanted to tell you a story and then talk about the difference between when we're absolutely prescribed to do things and when it's tradition. And there's a story about a man who comes into a shul, and when they're doing the Torah service, they get to the center of the congregation, and the person holding the Torah falls to his knees and crawls with the Torah. It's incredibly emotional. And the man who's there says, why? Why does he do this? Where did this come from? It's amazing. And all the congregants say, oh, we've always done it that way. That's the way you're supposed to do a Torah service, all that. And finally they say, you know what? There's a man. He's over 100 years old, so he doesn't get to shul very often. But if anyone would know, he would know. And so he goes to the man, he asks them, why does the congregation do this? And he goes, oh, we used to have a big chandelier, and it went all the way down almost to the bottom. And so the only way to get through was to fall on your knees and crawl that way. So it became imbued with meaning. So there are things that this congregation does because that's the tradition of this congregation. For instance, you said to everybody, please rise for the Shema. Now the Shema, you can say the Shema sitting, you can say it standing, you can say it laying on your back, however you are. I had learned you're not supposed to change your position because the Shema is accessible no matter where you are. Now, I've also been in lots of congregations that do stand up because there's, how do you say the Shema? I mean, you can really get that vocal strength of doing it. But I just wanted to say a few words. It's so fascinating to find the difference between the traditions and the must-dos, if that makes sense.
At biennials, where there are thousands of us all together from all over the country, when it comes time for the Shema, I would say half of the people there stand and the other half sit because they're doing whatever was traditional for their own congregation.
And each of them is going, those people are wrong to do.
Why aren't they standing? At this time, it is my pleasure to call Barbara Bachman up to do a reading on page 157.
Good Shabbos. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages. Keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to
work for the day
when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Should I stay here?
Yai, lai, lai, yai, la, 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 lai, yai, lai, lai, la, lai, la, lai, la, lai, lai, ya, lai, la, lai, lai, ya, la, 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 lai, ya, la, lai, la, lai, la, lai, lai. Mi chamo chaba elim Adonai, mi chamo chale et arba kodesh, no ratehi lo rosefele, no ratehi lo rosefele. Malachutecha uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe v'Miriam, ze eli anu ve'amru, ze eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai la la lai la lai la lai lai, ya lai la lai lai, ya lai la la lai, ya la lai la lai la lai lai.
Page 162 for Hashki Venu.
Hashki Veinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim.
Now 162 for Vishamru.
Vishomru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושומרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Page 168, and we will go all the way through 178 in the Hebrew. Please rise if you'd like.
Page 164.
Sorry, 164.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufia ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen, Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah, Rav ve'Hoshia, Morid Hatal. Mechalkel Chayim beChesed, Mechayei HaKol beRachamim Rabim, Somech Nofalim ve'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishanei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiah Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom, Yahalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Page 178, Shalom Rav.
I don't think I put that in there. So I apologize. They can have a seat for Shalom Rav,
I
can't they?
did
Yes.
this.
Yes, oh, good. So I tried to be a technological genius with my iPad, sharing the set list, and I didn't get all of the songs on here, so my apologies. Give us 1 second, and then we will sing Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki hatahu melech adon Lichol hashalom. Ki hatahu melech adon Lichol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha livarech et Amcha Yisroel b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We take a few moments now for silent meditation.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי. אדוני צורי וגואלי.
If you would turn in your prayer book to page 371 for Misha Berach. We take a few moments now for Tefillat Misha Berach, a prayer of healing and renewal for our loved ones in need of healing, those who are in recovery or are facing challenges in their lives.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We think of all those in our congregational family who are ill: Pat Adamson, Eric Adler, Raymond Douglas Alcorn, Barbara Bachman, Dr. Martin Bielo, Evan Bin, John Conway, Ann Cole, Richard Corwin, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Eric Fisk, Sam Friedman, Bob Gold, Carolyn Gold, Jennifer Gousset, Barbara Green, Buddy Green, Marvin Hollander, Stuart J., Lori Cattleman, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krasnoff, Madeline Leone, Dr. Sonia Linke, Michael Lynch, Dolores Munsick, Ruth Poehler, Lee Siegel, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, Fred Truax, Michael Vereb. We take a moment to silently mention in our hearts the names of our loved ones, our friends and those in our communities who are ill, whose names we've added to those mentioned aloud. If there's anybody who'd like to mention a name now, as I Thank you. I'd like to name my brother, Bob Guerriero.
Doris Kirshner, Philip Gelman. Nishebeirach imotenu makor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, the source of healing. Right now, I would like to share a little bit of a devar. It's very, very short, but I read the parsha for today, and a lot of it seemed to be negative, so I looked where I could for the positive part. So this Shabbat actually begins the book of Deuteronomy. It's the Torah portion where Moses delivers several farewell addresses as he prepares to die. In his speeches, Moses actually gives his own interpretation of Israel's history and law. I'm not knowledgeable enough about Torah to explain the parsha in detail, but the idea that Moses gave his own version of history is significant to me because I believe that Torah was deliberately written in a way that can be interpreted and reinterpreted again and again. To me, that's what a living document is. That's what Torah is, one that can be applicable over time again and again. 44 years ago, I decided that although I was raised Catholic, my soul was Jewish. I read lots of books on Judaism. I read books comparing Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox Judaism. What drew me to Reform Judaism was that it seemed to be relevant to my life, flexible enough to allow for differences of opinion and different interpretation. I'm not implying that the 613 commandments are negotiable, but I do believe the stories of the Torah were meant to teach a lesson or a moral, and that they can be interpreted in different ways. You know how we say that if you put 10 Jews in a room, you'll have at least 10 different opinions? Well, maybe that came from this Torah portion. Amen. And now I think Beth would like to add a little bit more.
I said, when Denise showed me this, I said, that is the nicest interpretation of this Parsha because both the Torah portion and the Haftorah portion this week has somebody yelling at the Israelites and saying, how hard is it for you to do what you're supposed to do? In the Haftorah portion, Isaiah was saying, okay, so you're going to the temple, you're, doing all the prayers, and yet you're not feeling it. This is not coming in your daily life. This is not a good thing. But Moses is saying to the Israelites, it's all been written out. All you have to do is follow it, and you're not following it. And so it was really, I thought what you said was so wonderful because Moses has become a storyteller. By this part, here's the man slow of speech, and now he is weaving his own perspective into this story. And, he is older and he is a little bitter. And
quite bitter.
He's not going to get to the promised land. But what's lovely about it is even after he yells at the Israelites, who, by the way, were not the same Israelites who had done all the terrible things. It was their kids who were, basically had done nothing. At the end of it, he says, God loves you. He's going to fight with you. Just, go. Do it. So even at the end of it, even as bitter and as sad as he was, there was still love there. So I like it. But I love that. That is so nice. And it is true. It has kept us, what? What year is it? Who knows what year it is? 6,000, 5,000, whatever that is.
5,776 or 77. One of those.
That's how many years we've been discussing this portion. I tell you, every time I think about things like that, it's really extraordinary that we're all here and we're able to talk about it and, as you said, find different interpretations. So thank you for that. That's great.
Would you please rise for Aleinu on page 586?
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא שם חלקנו להם, וגור עלינו, I'm sorry, I am looking at the wrong page. I'm sorry, here we are. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. It's better when I don't look, honestly.
Please turn to page 595 in your prayer books. And I'm going to read prayer number 6. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and not but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can only tell you what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. And affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Those who have passed away during the past year: Myron Pulfrey, Robert Sheldon, Beat Rosenbaum Madnick, Shirley Botkin, Jack Moss, Linda Fine, Sid Bolin, Joan Keller, Leo Weintraub, Nina Stegg, Janet White, Phyllis Krause, Phyllis Allman, Sheila Buckwalter, Robert Mansfeld, Albert Gart, Barry Dabowski, Ann Blumenkrantz, Shirley Matler, Richard Clausen, Mary John Raish, Liesel Schick. And this tonight, for the yard site, we remember Louis Baum, Elsie Bensky, Etta Bilgore, Morris D. Cohen, Sarah Kahn, Albert Drolnick, Ruchel Dvorkin, Isidore Epstein, Fred Feldman, Rose Fox, Harold Friedman, Rhea Garfield, Morris Glass, Eleanor Berman Goldstein, Marjorie Gray, Betty Hack, Lorraine Ismark, Mildred Bennett Juster, Betty Kaplan, Harold A. Carlin, Goldie Kaskowitz, Gloria King, Harry Kirby, Fred Kurtzman, Shirley Levine, Maidwen Lobel, Jack Messler, Deborah Nussman Stever, Nishka Anna Polak, David Polar, Margie Rubin, Louis Rubin, Irving T. Sachs, Esther Sachs, Jerry Schneider, Lillian Shapiro, Ray Siegel, Beatrice Small, Robert Topper, Richard Vosper, Solomon C. Zients. Please join me in the Kaddish on page 598. Please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, uv'chayei dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitparar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal shmei dekudusha brichu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Zichraman livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And please be seated. And I thought that Paul might be here to do announcements. So I don't have any announcements written out for me, but I do know that, let's see, what's coming up? Oh, yes. Well, you saw in the lobby that for Slichot, we are having our ceremony for Rabbi Treiser. And I hope that everybody can come to that. Slichot is one of my favorite services anyway because it prepares us for High Holy Days. And I know for me, I go from way up here to, I start to come down and start to feel really calm once I go to the Slichot service. So it will be a wonderful tribute to Rabbi Treiser for him that day. And hopefully, Rabbi Lobel will be here next week. And I know that August it's the 17th, whatever the next, that Shabbat.
So next Shabbat is the 12th.
The 12th.
And then the
The 19th will be
is-
welcoming our cantorial soloist,
No,
student soloist.
student cantor.
Student cantor,
She's the
sorry,
real thing.
who we're all excited to meet. We'll be having Shabbatizers that night and a special oneg. So hopefully those of you at home and those of you here today will be able to join us then. Pardon me? It's Simcha Shabbat is that same Friday night. It should be a really special Shabbat. Cantor, you ready for Motzi?
Sure, absolutely. I just want to say, I've been talking to Iris, who is the student cantor, and what a beautiful voice she has, and a lovely person. I think it will be really a marvelous.
I'm excited to meet her.
I'm excited to sing with her. All right, Motzi, here we go. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread.
Thank you, God.
Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avo.
And I always feel bad ruining this beautiful challah, but I will bring it out to the oneg.
So that is tradition, standing up for that. So I'm going to say you can sit down for the final song. How's that? We'll see how it feels. We're going to do an Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimroma hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
I would like to say thank you to Maria. Beautiful piano music, Beth. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Your
my
voice
hero.
is amazing. Thank you to Pete, who's streaming from home tonight. And thank you all for being here. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.